This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of Haslett Charter Commission. Today's date is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. The time is 7 p.m. and we do have a quorum present. So if everyone would please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so I think we have two oaths of office that we need to administer tonight for Stuart and Chuck. Katrina, will you be doing that?
Yes, I think they're both here, yes, okay. So I tell you what, I will just read the oath of office and then let you insert your names and the I do part, okay? That sounds good. So I
Stuart Shire,
do solemnly swear or board member of Haslett, Texas Home Rule Municipal Charter Commission and the City of Haslett, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. I do. Okay. Next page. Statement of appointed officer. I do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation thereof, so help me God. I will pass these to you at some point to sign tonight. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of our commission. So, Katrina, did you receive any public comment cards this evening?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there's nothing for our citizen participation. We'll move to our consent agenda. So those who aren't familiar with what the consent agenda is, so this is where we'll find our meeting minutes from our prior meeting. And if there's any revisions to that because there was something captured incorrectly, we would want to make sure we make mention of that before we make a motion to approve the minutes. If there are no revisions needed, then somebody can make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I noticed that it said there was an attachment to those minutes with a letter, but I did not see it attached.
You are correct. It will be attached
When they're recorded.
when they are posted to the website.
And will I see that before I sign off on the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Are there any other revisions to the minutes as written? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the minutes as written. Is there a second?
second.
Motion been seconded. All in favor?
Okay, decent name.
Anybody opposed? And two abstentions. So motion passes. Okay, moving on, our next agenda, well, maybe before we get to the agenda item, for the benefit of Stuart and Chuck, just maybe just a 1-minute overview of what our goal is and what we're working towards. And that is, the city has reached the 500 resident threshold to allow us to move to a home charter. 5,000. What did I say? 500. Sorry. 5,000 residents that allows us to move to a home charter city. So the first step in becoming a home charter city is to write a charter for the city, and then that goes before the voters for approval or disapproval, depending how the voters view that. And then once that, if it is approved, then it's adopted, and then we become a home charter city. The commission has the responsibility of writing that charter. There's two things that we're looking at tonight. We're looking at the bylaws, the rule book by which we operate as a commission, and then the second is the framework for the Home Charter Commission, or the Home Charter document itself. Okay, So that's where we're at tonight, is starting that discussion on the bylaws and the framework of the Home Charter Commission, Home Charter document. Okay? Any questions before we jump in? All right. So there's not a time limit, but what we did discuss was we would like to try to get a framework put together before August, I believe is what we discussed. It was a soft target. There's nothing that locks us into that date, but we're trying to hold ourselves accountable to something. Yeah.
In order to have an election in November, we have to call for it mid-August,
Yeah.
85 days before the election.
Yeah. That's why we set that date. Otherwise, we're all the way into next year. Yes. Okay? So moving on, agenda item 6A is discuss, consider, and act on the adoption of a table of contents for the Home Charter Commission bylaws. So there's a number of documents that you received in your packet and that are also printed in the book. And the first thing that we need to consider is what is the framework of the charter, of the bylaws need to look like? And then we can discuss the actual verbiage and the underlying directions that are set forth by those bylaws. So I provided one example. That's what's the very first couple of pages in your book. And then there are several examples from other cities. What you'll notice the difference as I looked over those, the example I put forward, it was just very straightforward, easy to follow instructions of what each of these sections represented. The other ones seem to be a lot of definitions about some of those things, and I'm not certain that we need all of the definitions in here. If we need to define something, we can, but that was my perspective. There was very different approaches to how they wrote these bylaws. So this is discussion, this dialogue. So this is the opportunity to share your thoughts and share your wisdom on what would be the best approach for us to develop our own set of bylaws for our work.
Greg, is there anything you'd like me to put up on the screen out of that packet?
Everybody has the documents, so I think that I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
I actually liked the framework that you put together. I agree, I think it was very simple. It gives us, the structure, and then I think, as you suggested, we could talk about the content. I know what I shared with you myself was really more about content rather than the structure of it.
Yep.
But I like this simplicity, that's my opinion.
Okay, other thoughts on approach? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if y'all can remember to please press the button when you're speaking and make sure your mic has a green light on it, or they can't hear you on mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we could all have our on all the time, right? It doesn't interfere if we all.
So we do get feedback if you do turn them all on, because there's little speakers in the
Yep.
front of those mics.
Okay.
So when feedback we get.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Other thoughts on a framework to consider for discussion?
I've got a couple different forms that I brought. Do you mind if I pass them out?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, sorry.
Thank you.
Along with that, I've also got a worksheet. I didn't print a bunch of these,
Okay.
but I printed enough for chairman and vice chairman. I figured too many of them may be confusing.
Yeah, 'cause there's going to be a lot of editing as we go tonight. All right, thank you.
Just something that may help.
All right, so Joel, it looks like you provided what would be like a mission statement for the Charter Commission, right?
Correct.
Thank you for that. And then Kyle, you provided another example of a basic framework for bylaws.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So, having had the opportunity to look at a couple of these, is there any other thoughts on which approach is better? The long version, these big paragraphs, or a shorter version, which is more concise in,
Mr. Chairman, I submitted the Princeton one, and it's rather lengthy, and I assume probably attorneys help write this one, which is why it's so lengthy and covers all the motions. And then mine that I submitted is right after that one, and I prefer the shorter version too. It's a lot like yours, maybe yours a little bit more detailed than mine.
Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about the bylaws yet?
not yet, I want to kind of agree on the framework first.
I like the framework of yours.
Yeah.
And I think several of ours are like yours.
Yeah, so I want to start with the framework and the articles that would be inside that framework. And then that's what our first agenda item is. And then we'll get into the specific language supporting all of those articles. So I want to do it in two steps. And one more thing, Marty, and I'll let you jump in. So this is an evergreen document. If we find that the bylaws need to be adjusted at some point, either we need to add content, change content, or remove content, these are our bylaws, so we can change them at any time we feel like that's necessary. So this I would consider as should be a strong starting point, but it's probably not going to be the final framework.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to hear you, the word evergreen or able to refresh. We're calibrated the same way. I provided the information on the city of Keller intentionally because Keller went through this in 1982. And their intent was to be able to refresh and update as needed. And then I also submitted the information that's in the booklet from Justin as well. Their intent also was to be able to provide updates as needed as the city changes and grows, which Justin is doing, and as demographics changed. I also like the short and sweet concept. I think it'll help us stay focused versus getting involved in a lot of detail with long paragraphs. So I do support the concept of keeping it simple as long as you stated earlier, an evergreen document that can be updated when needed in the future.
Right. Okay, so does anybody oppose the idea of using, let's just reference the ones that are in the front of your binder. Is anybody opposed to using that type of framework? Okay. All right, so if we follow our agenda item, what we're discussing then is defining what the table of contents for our bylaws would be. So we can use all of these examples we've got in front of us, the ones Kyle just laid out. We could use this one, and if there's others, we can pull content from that. But it seems as though the first starting point is where do we get our authority and recognizing where we get our authority to do the work. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. All right, so that's a keep. All right, purpose and duties. What is our responsibility, defining that responsibility? Does everybody agree that we need to keep that?
Yes.
Okay. And then that was quite a lengthy section in the example. Officers, who's leading and who has responsibility to help lead and keep minutes and things like that for the commission. Anybody feel like that's not needed?
You skip membership.
Oh, I did skip membership. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yep. All right, thank you. So membership, yes, membership. Anybody feel like we don't need to have membership in there? That was the lengthy section, sorry.
I think membership is important, and I really, the section 5, removals is not something I really am in favor of, but I did like the statement in Princeton on the first page. It's underlined 2/3 of the way down, and it's just really a code of conduct of respect and the expectation, and I believe we all can agree that we're going to treat each other with respect, and and you handle meetings like you have done in the past, but I just feel like that probably needs to be maybe a bullet or just, it's the expectation
Yeah.
to have respectful conversations.
Okay, so we'll circle back to that when we get into the detailed content that underlies each one of these articles then. Thank you for pointing that out. Then we get to the section about the officers. Keep?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and then the next section addresses how do we conduct meetings and the posting of meetings, special meetings, public participation, and all of that. That's kind of the way we work. Okay, so we agree that we need something to define that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the next section then would be the procedures. How do we bring motions forward? How do we vote? What's the method by which we do all of that? There was some pretty lengthy definitions of that in some of these other bylaw documents. I think that's great for us to understand all of that. I just don't know that we need to have I personally don't think our bylaws need to go into a 2-page definition of what a motion is. So keep the rules of procedures. Is that a keep?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't agree, your voice matters, so say differently. The committees, these would be the subcommittees, the committees that work on specific elements of the charter document and then bring that information back to us. So this kind of defines how they work, how those memberships are selected, and what authority they have. Seem reasonable, as we know we're going to have subcommittees?
Yes.
Okay. Next one would be ethics and conduct, and this is just maybe goes a little bit to what you had said earlier about what's the expectation of us and the way in which we work together. Do we feel like that's needed, or do we want to roll that into members?
That's what I was going to ask. In fact, I like it called out separately because it is important. It could go either way. But I thought the way you had it separately, it kind of gave a focus that we were going to behave a certain way.
Yeah, we could just put it all on that section 5 and and just call that ethics and conduct, and then there could be a subsection, removal for violation or something, if we wanted to say that. Does that seem like an okay approach?
I agree with that. Add it to the.
Okay, so move to 5. Okay, is somebody keeping notes? Okay, so we can get a motion when we get to the end? I'm keeping notes, but I would prefer not to be the one to make the motion, so.
Joette, are you keeping notes?
And I can recap what I've got.
I wrote it.
I can recap what I've got here too for somebody if they need me to do that. And then the next one would be records and transparency. This talks about making sure that we keep all of our records for all of our meetings, all of our deliberations, making sure that we have draft versions that are reflected as draft, and those are archived along with any final charter documents. I think this is very important from a legal perspective.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I also had, along with that sort of thing, but I don't know if you want this in there or not, but I thought that maybe we should have a section on community outreach, how we're going to do that. So make people aware of what we're doing or going on to get their support. And maybe that could go under transparency, if, or not. I had public hearings, outreach, and workshops, surveys, informational sessions.
Was that a whole section in of it itself?
I did a complete section, community outreach, but I don't know if everybody wants that or agrees with that, or you know, if it could go under transparency.
When I made notes, when we get to that content, that's where I put my notes for the outreach. But either way, I think it's important to call that out.
I like that idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
that we,
Have a separate section for community outreach? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I, you know, maybe add that. I didn't know whether to add it in the transparency or not.
Would that fall under the meetings? That's what I'm saying.
there is a section in meetings, but that's the, how do we recognize the community when they come in and want to make public comment? And I looked at that just a second ago, because I thought, well, maybe we already have that, but I don't think I don't think that fits the context
No,
of what you're
this is to
saying.
get the public's input, and you can get it through surveys or workshops or, you know,
Yeah.
open meeting or,
And whether we
Just
do
for
that or
their
not, we
ideas.
should have, yeah, I think it's a great idea to at least say that, yeah, we could do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
way-
do you want to write,
Community outreach,
so you want to make that a separate article?
yes,
Okay.
if everybody agrees.
And then,
Maryland, voice of citizens is going to be important, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's very important.
where do you think that slides in here in between these other articles?
Well, and in mine that I had it, mine was that, well, I had meetings, procedures, community outreach. So it probably, I would put it under section 6, maybe?
Article 5, can you put it in Article 5?
No,
That's voting. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
voting.
no, that's what I was asking, transparency.
Since we moved ethic and conduct up under the
make
other
it-
section, what if we just replaced ethic and conduct with this, community
Yeah,
outreach?
That'd be great.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then where do we put ethics and conduct?
That rolled up into section 3,
3.
subsection 5. Yeah.
Article 3.
All right. And then the next article is Article 10. That's the legal and staff support. So that's just recognizing those other parties that would be supporting our work. Next one is time. Everybody agree that we need that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Timeline is, and this is, just defining the different phases of work that we're going to be doing. Thoughts?
yep.
It's just a guideline, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get the content yet.
It's just recognizing that we're not going to sit back and, all of a sudden, we're going to have this completed document. It's going to go through phases of development. And then the last article on this page, the Article 12, is the amendment of bylaws. That just talks about the procedures by which we would edit or make changes to our bylaws.
I think that needs to be.
Okay? Any disagreement? And then the last one is dissolving this commission. So we, at some point, our work comes to an end, or we are no longer working on this effort, so we would have to dissolve our group, and that's just the last piece. Okay? Are there any articles that we should add that's not in this, that anybody feels like we should add that's not in this framework? Are there other examples you've read or discussions you've had?
I think that covers everything that I've seen, either within the articles or the subsections.
And Kyle, did it cover everything that was in yours too? Yours had a nice, when I looked at this outline that sat in front of it,
Oh, yeah,
this, kind of a nice outline in the front of it. And it defined what each of the articles were. So I think this can probably still be, used as for how we formalize this, but I like that section right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Kind of like the index of what the bylaws contain. Okay. Any other discussion or questions on what articles should be contained in our bylaws?
Discuss the subsections later on.
Yes, we will. Yep, but the underlying content, all the verbiage that goes underneath this, yes. That's the next agenda item.
And Mr. Chairman, on the agenda tonight, I see nothing about our mission statement.
Okay? Would you like to see a mission statement inside our bylaws? Yep. Yep. So when you handed that to me, I started to say, well, why isn't there something to address that? And I thought, I was just looking here. So our mission statement is almost, part of this name and authority section. And so we can add that as a sub-bullet, the mission statement of the commission.
Well, I think it needs to lead off the technical contents for the document needs to start with mission statement.
Okay, why don't we just add that as another article then?
As
Article 2.
And that could be Article 1.
I think you have to define who you are before, yeah, I would do it as number 4. I agree.
So put it in that, Article 1 is Section 4?
That's what I would do, because I think you have to define who we are and all of that before we define our mission.
All right, that's one viewpoint. Anybody feel differently, or is that what?
No, that sounds good to me.
Okay. Okay, so we'll address that then when we get to the next agenda item, but thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so we have framework, it sounds like. Does anybody want to make a motion to propose that framework? Yep. So we have Article 1 is name and authority, Article 2 is purpose and duties, Article 3 is membership, Article 4 is officers, Article 5 is meetings, Article 6 is rules of procedures, Article 7 is committees, Article 8 is community outreach, Article 9 is records and transparency, Article 10 is legal and staff support, 11 is timeline, 12 is amendments of the bylaws, and 13 is the dissolution of our commission. 11 was timeline.
Question, when we make a motion, do we have to cite moving ethics and conduct to Section 5?
Nope, because we don't have any document that already on record.
Ah,
So
okay.
all you have to do is list those 13 things if that's what you want the framework to be. Yeah, yeah, there's nothing on record right now, so we don't have to cite any of this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. That is, what we just discussed, go ahead. Yeah, as it sits right now, the commission has nothing developed, so we're starting from a blank sheet of paper, so we don't have to say we edited it or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good question, though. Well, that's what I would suggest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we adopt the bylaws framework, being Article 1, name and authority, Article 2, purpose and duties, Article 3, membership, Article 4 is officers, Article 5, meetings, Article 6, rules of procedure, Article 7, committees, Article 8 is community outreach, Article 9, records and transparency, Article 10, legal and staff support, Article 11, timeline, Article 12, amendment of bylaws, and Article 13, dissolution.
Okay, now, I know this might be painful, but I'm going to read it back, okay? So there's been a motion to approve and develop the bylaws with the following articles. Article 1 is the name and authority. Article 2 is purpose and duties. Article 3 is membership. Article 4 is officers. Article 5 is meetings. Article 6 is rules of procedure. 7 is committees. 8 is community outreach. 9 is records and transparency. 10 is legal and staff support. 11 is timeline. 12 is amendment of bylaws. And 13 is dissolution. Is there a second of the motion?
Second.
Motion has been seconded. All in favor? All right, we have our first piece of work done. Congratulations, group. All right, so now the next piece is then to establish the content in each one of those articles. So putting, the verbiage to each one of these that we want to operate by. So this is going to take a little bit longer, and it's going to be a little more tedious. But there are examples here. It doesn't mean we have to use these, okay? But there are examples of as simple as this could be, or we could make it as complex as we want it to be. So in the name and authority, we had 4 sections. We had the name, which is what would be recognized by, what authority we have, where do we get our authority to operate. 3 is the nature of the body. How do we, what's our existence look like? And then 4 is the mission statement, as Joel had pointed out, that we should have in here. Okay. I think the first 2 are pretty straightforward. It's the Home Charter Commission that's established by the City of Haslett or for the City of Haslett. That one seems to be pretty easy. Anybody disagree with that?
No, sir.
Okay. And then the authority, again, from the Texas local code. So nature of the body, maybe just...
Okay, so on the authority, I had, it's also under the Texas Constitution, Article 11, Section 5.
Okay.
And I looked that up. So, if just the one that's sufficient or not.
So maybe it's, maybe we just reference both of those, the Texas Local Government Code 9.001 to 9.004, and then Article 11, Section 5.
Correct, the Texas Constitution.
Mr. Chairman, before we get any further along, have we, as a body, appointed a secretary
Yes, our city secretary.
on the board, on the commission itself?
Yeah, that's Katrina.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Katrina, you getting all of this?
And I'm keeping notes over here too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Article 11, Section 5 of the Texas Constitution. Okay.
And feel free to check me on that.
Okay. Section 3, do we need this or don't we, or do we scrap that one? So the commission is a temporary public body charged to, this is kind of like, what are we responsible for doing?
I mean, I think we should keep it. Yes, it is, I think it's fine.
I think it's important, Mr. Chairman, that we do state it is a temporary public body, because then that ties to dissolving the commission when we're finished, and we're not a permanent fixture for the city. I think that's important to make crystal clear, particularly when we're doing the public outreach aspects.
Okay. That's a keep. All right, then Section 4, a mission statement. So if we're going to put something here, we have to write our own mission statement. Okay. Joel gave us a couple of examples. This is actually 3 revisions of Willow Parks, City of Willow Parks mission statement. Yeah, we use this example, or we could start from scratch.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I'm all for keeping it simple. I think their mission statement could be utilized, just simply changing the name of Willow Park to Haslett. I'm kind of a verbiage person. In the second line, it says address the current and near-term needs. I would suggest maybe future needs. In the next sentence, it says the charter will incorporate or create flexibility to adapt. But I feel like it adequately summarizes what our mission is. I don't know. I'm all about keeping it easy.
Okay. So do you want to state that exactly as we would word it? Or you okay doing that?
I can do that.
Okay.
So, I make a motion that we utilize the Willow Park Home Rule Charter Commission example by substituting where it says City of Willow Park, Texas, Home Rule Charter to be City of Hazlet, Texas Home Rule Charter in each of the locations in the example. In the second line, it says that we will address the current and future needs of Hazlet residents. The charter will create flexibility to adapt to the future needs of the city. We will accomplish this through an open and transparent process by actively involving the Hazlet community.
If you want to change incorporate to create.
Sorry? Yeah, I would, that's just a semantics to me because it's more specific.
I'm a little concerned because I think it's a little redundant then. This is just my opinion. Only because the next sentence does say the charter will incorporate flexibility to adapt to the future needs. So I think the sentence before that, when it had near term, it was trying to address kind of a timeline, current, near term, and then the next sentence spoke to the future needs.
Yeah,
The
I think
third one is-
you simplified it. We could take out that next sentence and just, I think it
Right,
would
okay.
work.
Right.
Okay, so,
Or you could take out the first one.
Did y'all read number 3?
Yeah.
It's more, I think it's pretty,
Yeah, more to the point.
more to the point, less sentence and
Take
words.
future out first.
I like number 3.
yeah, that is a cleaner version. Yeah.
Okay. So still change near term to future. Because it's,
So all we're doing here is we're changing Willow Park to Haslett, and then we're changing near term to future.
it repeats future in that second sentence. So maybe, I think leave it.
Future out of the first sentence, just current needs, future in the next.
Okay, so we're scratching and near
And
term
near term.
from
I
that
like
one
that.
sentence. Yep. So the first sentence addresses the current needs, and the second sentence is talking about future needs.
I think I would, in that last sentence, instead of just saying the Hazlet community, I would say the city of Hazlet community, since we do live in an ambiguous terminology relative to that.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that statement, because if you talk to the folks in the Hazlet Post Office, you have a lot of people in the area like Sandera Ranch and out Avondale Hazlet Road, they have a Hazlet mailing address, but they're not City of Hazlet. And to your point, if we mention City of Hazlet community, it does keep it within the boundaries of our authorization as a City of Hazlet.
I agree for that specific
So
reason.
instead of community, should we use the word residents?
I think that would actually be
Oh,
more
that's good.
precise and better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that we're unique in that we do have a real issue with that, so we need to be specific about who we serve, I think.
For sure.
So I scratched through a bunch and I added words in here as we discussed that. Let me read this back and see if I've captured it correctly. The mission of the Haslett Home Rule Charter Commission is to create a home rule charter that addresses the current needs of Haslett residents. The charter will aim to be flexible enough to adapt to future requirements. This will be accomplished through an open and transparent process actively involving City of Haslett residents.
I think the city of Hazlet should be in wherever Hazlet is, should say the city of Hazlet.
City of Hazlet
Yeah.
each time.
I agree.
Otherwise, then none of that can be taken
Yeah.
elsewhere.
So every place there's Willow Park, replace with City of Hazlet.
Got it.
Perfect.
Okay. So Katrina, do you need me to read that back? Yes. Okay, so we're adding section 4 to Article 1, and it will read, the mission of the City of Haslett Home Rule Charter Commission is to create a home rule charter that addresses the current needs of the City of Haslett residents. The charter will aim to be flexible enough to adapt to the future requirements. This will be accomplished through an open and transparent process actively involving City of Haslett residents.
Perfect.
Okay, and that will be section 4, which will be our mission statement.
Yes.
Okay.
So do we need to approve each article, move on, so it's not extremely wordy by the time we get to 13?
Can you just approve each article, like
That's,
Article 1?
yeah, like now we're done with Article 1, let's put it
Okay.
done.
We-
Is that fine?
We can break this into each subsection and make a motion that way. That'd be fine.
Feel like it'd be
The agenda
easier.
item just says the adoption of specific language, so it doesn't tell us, that we have to do it as one whole motion or individual motions for these. So would somebody like to make a motion to adopt Article 1 language as we've discussed it? Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt Article 1 as we have just discussed, read out by our chairman.
okay, so there's a motion to adopt the specific language for Article 1, which will contain 4 sections. A Section 1, which is the naming of the commission, 2 is the authority, 3 is the nature of the body, and the 4th section will be our mission statement. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion passes. More work done. Article 2. So this is our section that addresses what our purpose and duties are. So this is where you got to start thinking about the framework of the actual charter document itself.
I thought perhaps the number 5 under duties, we should say not just approve a final proposed charter, but charter sections, because I assume we're going to divide this work and approve sections of charters as we go forward.
Yeah, I think the context of this is at some point we're going to have a overall final document that we're
Right.
going to have to approve in its entirety at some stage.
Right.
There may be work that we accomplished along the way that we propose go into the final document, but at some point the entire document will be assembled, and I think that's what this step says. So we approve it's a final document, and then we submit it to the charter to the city council.
I guess my question is, do we want to add anything that indicates we're going to also approve sections before we get to the final document?
So let's look at 4. Good point. 4 says we'll
Oh,
deliberate on charter provisions, maybe deliberate and recommend content for the charter provision, or something to say that we're going to be looking at this in pieces rather than as a whole document as we work.
Right, because we haven't discussed how we're going to present this to the community, whether it's going to be one big bite, which would be a lot for people to digest, or if we're going to present it to them as we work through some
Yeah.
key areas. So that's what I was thinking when I read these steps.
Are you talking about presenting it to vote or just presenting it?
Like
Just
the
for people-
community
for
outreach
transparency.
part.
Okay. Would it make more sense to present it in pieces, because that's how it needs to be voted upon, correct?
Yeah, we could change this language and be really
Right.
easy, just deliberate and recommend content for the charter provisions.
Right.
How about that?
Right, and
And recommend.
yeah, because we're not going to agree on the whole document at the end without agreeing on the sub-content before we get there. Okay, good catch. Anything else in this section that we want to edit?
On number 6 under that section, when it's proposed charge to the city council to be submitted for a vote on the election, do we need to put that in there or anything?
So, I mean, the statutory deadline, as of right now, my understanding is there is no deadline. However, you know, the comment about statutory deadline, that actually pertains to if we want it on a November election, to August. If you want it on a May the following year, it would be in the middle of February, around 85 days before the election. So that's typically around the 18th of February.
But should we state on here that we're submitting the charter to the city council to be put on an election? Submitted for the election.
Yeah, we could just, we could,
That is our charge.
yeah, we could,
Yeah,
we could
it's a
say
state.
submit to city council for placement on the next available election, right? Or something to that effect.
For an election to the
And
public.
maybe it would be for placement for election by the statutory deadline.
And for
Does any-
clarity purpose, I'm not sure that the city council, once you have a home rule charter and that.
They don't
that
discuss it or
proposal is
anything.
made,
I didn't even think it had to go to the city council, did it?
It does because they have to then push it to the election.
Right.
Yeah,
They don't-
I just think
I'd
that-
specify
I
it.
think we have to specify that it needs to be submitted for an election.
Okay, so
That's true. I mean, I think it does, I mean, I see what you're saying, like, very
submit?
specific. So it's,
Do
we
you
submit it for the next, how we word it, the
Does
next
that make sense
available
what I'm
election.
saying?
Yeah, it does.
So like if we get it in before, let's say August, we want it on the next election. We don't want to like do it 2 years from now.
Yeah, it's submitted for election.
Next, the,
Placement on election by the statutory deadline.
what is,
I don't know exactly. I just think the charter is being submitted to be submitted to the city council for an election to the public.
for the
For a
next
public
election
election.
for the next.
Well, I don't know if we want, when we submit it for the next election.
submit,
It's whenever we're completed, so we don't really have time.
But if we just put for the next election. Election for the
how about
next-
this? Submit the proposed charter to the city council for placement on the first eligible election. All right, any other content that we feel we need to have in section 2? Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we proceed with Section 2.
I will read this back. There's a motion to approve the content of Article 2, which is purpose and duties. First subsection is purpose. Second subsection is duties, and under duties, there are 6 points. I'll read each one of these points. Study current city structure, ordinances, and state law, hold public meetings and hearings, solicit community input, deliberate and recommend content for charter provisions, approve a final proposed charter by formal vote, submit the proposed charter to city council for placement on the first eligible election. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
Okay, motion has been seconded for approval of Article 2 content. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay. Article 3, this is all about membership, and this is where we wanted to do some revisions to Section 5. So we were pulling over the ethics and conduct section, which had been Section 8. We were talking about pulling those over here. Want to edit any of those ethics and conduct items?
This is section 3. We were going to move it to section 5.
Section 5 is a sub-bullet 5 of section, Article 3. Yep.
Oh. Okay, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Within the membership for removal, if one of us, 15 of us have something that happens, you know, tragedy in family or whatever, somebody gets transferred to Los Angeles, whatever may happen, where that member of the commission needs to resign, do we need to also incorporate in removal if someone needs to self-eliminate or resign? Reason may involve their employment, family, personal, et cetera. Is that not necessary?
Yeah.
Does that
Maybe we
fall
just-
under inability to serve?
Yeah, it's just on section 4, I think.
Is there a provision for replacing that person?
That's what I'm saying,
Uh,
we
and-
need a replacement if somebody does have to step down too, so.
The appointing authority within 30 days of these rules under section 4 would take care of that, who's appointing them.
Correct. Yeah, we do not get to select who that replacement would be. It would be the appointing authority that would backfill those vacancies.
Mr. Chairman, under this section, when you're talking about members, in the one that I did, and I read several other bylaws, they also had some alternate members that I thought you might want to consider that could, if that happens, that are involved in the process, you know, even if it's just listening, and then that way maybe replace them with the alternate. I don't know if that's possible or not.
Yeah, I would have to speak with the city council and mayor to find out if that is something that, I'm not sure state law even allows for that. You know,
Yeah, it was in a couple of charters.
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I could bring that up to the city council and the mayor and ask if they would like to appoint alternates for that. That way they aren't behind if, you know, if somebody's not behind if they get
I
appointed
have
to
a
the
question.
commission.
Do we have to have 15 at all times be the member?
You don't have to have 15 in
You have to have a
But do we have
quorum.
to have 15 at all? What
Yeah.
On the charter.
on the charter, do we have to have 15 at all times? So if somebody
No, we do not.
resigns, we do not.
What I read, if this is accurate, is even if someone resigns, a quorum remains the same.
In the charter, we composed of 10 people.
We have to have at least 8 people here to do our
Under
But,
the 15 that we currently have, if there was only 10 of us to start with, is that still enough? Does it have to be 15?
I think,
well, here is where we say what it is, the commission shall consist of 15 members.
right.
That's a wall.
And since that's what the city appointed, you know, we don't get to decide how many people are on this commission. The city appointed 15. That's the number we work with.
So if we only had.
Quorum doesn't change.
Yeah, the quorum
It always
doesn't
stays
change.
Correct.
So,
But then, let's say somebody resigns from the committee, then it has to be appointed by the city council or the mayor then.
Correct.
And that position has to be filled.
I did add, a thought was that we would have to have some kind of notification period perhaps. So if something happened, do we have to notify them within so much time so that they can make that, or is that just assumed?
Yeah, I think we should notify them immediately of a known vacancy.
Yeah, I had said 10 days to give us some
Yeah.
wiggle room, but
And so that we could add that to section 4, if a the
vacancy.
appointing authority will be notified immediately of a known vacancy, and then the next thing here is, they have 30 days to fill that vacancy.
Right.
What do you think about the, having this board vote on whether they accept that member?
It's not our job we don't get to decide.
Oh, we can't?
Oh,
No.
Because I mean, because.
we could make a recommendation perhaps.
I
No?
think the statutory person who has the power to appoint would not be us as a body.
The way we were established was by the appointment of the mayor, that provision's involved.
Yeah.
And then the only way that a member could be replaced was using that same statute.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, because I think I read that in the Texas code.
Yep.
And also, it is 15 in the Texas code.
And so then, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, so if someone is relocated or they resign, that would just simply fall under inability to serve, is that correct?
Right, and then if we use the language we just talked about, we have a responsibility to notify the appointing authority immediately of that
Yes.
known vacancy.
Yes. Okay, excellent, thank you.
Yep.
What about, the other thing is excessive number of unexcused absences. Do we want to put a number on that, or do we want to keep
I
it?
feel like
I feel like that needs to be defined.
I do too,
Yeah.
and I think it should be whether it's consecutive or cumulative.
Yeah, to me, an unexcused absence is, nobody even lets the commission know you're not going to be present. It's not about whether you can be here or not, it's about, did you let everybody know you weren't gonna be here? Because we all have other things going on in our lives, and there's gonna be times you're gonna miss. And I'm not gonna sit here and say the 3 is appropriate and 4 is not. But I think that we have a sense of responsibility to one another to let everybody know you're not gonna be here.
Perhaps we could have a show of hands if anybody thinks it's excessive.
Yeah.
I think the, in number 4, it actually defines that this body determines that by vote. So if it comes up and is deliberated, we would vote on it, and it may just, the circumstances would be deliberated on and settled. I don't think it actually has, in my opinion, doesn't have to be defined as a certain thing, and you check the boxes and you go, oh, I got you, it's your 4th absence, you're gone. I think there's reasonable debate that can take place in the group. And
I agree, especially with the undefined timeline that this could take.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah, I
take a
also agree
while.
with that,
Yeah, we
to leave
don't,
it undefined.
we don't have a set number of meetings that we're gonna hold this year,
Yeah.
so it'd be hard to set a set number of absences.
They were unexcused absences, like saying where you're not communicating, when you miss 4 meetings in a row, not talking.
And if I may, there's a secondary way to participate, which our chairman brought up last time. I mean, as long as you have enough here for a quorum, and if you're away from town, you're traveling, or with family, you can still dial in and participate. You won't count as a member of the quorum, but you could still dial in the evening from your computer or phone line for audio. And as the mayor stated, if you can dial in video and audio, you count as a participant, not as a member of the quorum, but it still counts as your participation.
Correct.
Yep. Okay, so the next thing we need to discuss is how do we roll this ethics and conduct section into section 5? And when I look at it, almost all 4 of those bullet points from what was Article 8 could roll right up underneath that violation of ethics laws. And then and then those 4 bullet points just define what those ethic laws are.
Just make that section 6 under, or do you want to put it, do you want to put it under removal, or just put it as section 6? Under,
Well, the ethic laws, a violation of the ethic laws would be a reason for removal, right?
So then maybe the ethics and conduct need to be 5, and removal needs to be 6.
Okay.
Now, under section 5, there's a bullet point for violation of ethics laws. Could we
Right.
add bullet points underneath
That's what I was saying.
that bullet point?
That's what I was saying.
That define
Like a sub-bullet.
what the ethics conduct expectations are.
Yeah.
Why not just adopt the 4 bullet points under the original article under ethics and just add them to the 4 bullet point that are already there? If you look under where it was originally Article 8.
Yep.
And it says there's 4 bullet points at the top of the next page. We could add those.
As the sub-bullets
So
under
you could add
violation
them
of
just to
ethics
the 3 that are already present.
So I think you said the same thing that a couple of us said. So does that seem, does anybody disagree with that approach? Just move those 4 bullet points underneath that violation of ethics law statement?
Put them as sub-bullets under there.
Do you need to state what the ethics laws are in order to violate them? Should they be stated
I think
Right,
that is
first
the thing
and
that's
then
trying-
that's removal?
Okay, so let's talk about
It's
that.
confusing that it's under removal, in my opinion.
Yeah, but
We
if
need to
you
have
put it-
ethics and then removal.
But violation of
the
ethics law.
Otherwise, that's all under removal, and it kind of looks
Yeah,
weird.
it needs to be
I think it
separate.
needs to be,
I can see that.
I think you added a section prior to removal, because now you've stated your ethics. Now removal is
Yeah.
the violation of
This is
these
true.
ethics.
It should be like section 5, and section 5
Correct.
moves to section 6.
Yeah.
So section 5,
I think I like that.
Becomes ethics
Is the
with those
ethic.
bullet points. If we, do we need to add or adjust any of those?
yep, so there's 4 of them. Comply with state conflict of interest laws. That seems pretty straightforward. can't operate with individuals with conflicts of interest.
One thing I saw when I was reading about this was they called it a savings clause. I don't know if we have to add anything like that, but it said an ethical violation by an individual does not negate the charter work. I don't know if that's important or not.
What'd you say?
Yeah, so that might be important. I don't think it falls right here, but that means that the work survives even if an individual
With one person.
violates
Yeah,
an ethics law.
Yes.
I think that's a good,
But I don't know that that goes in this section.
What was that language that you said again?
They called it a savings clause, and it was, if there was an ethical violation by an individual, it does not negate the charter's work.
so we could make that the 5th bullet point under these 4?
I just thought I read that, so I thought I'd share. I didn't make that up.
Well, as long as
Might
it's
be
not
under members'
illegal. I
removal.
mean, if it's illegal by the state, like,
Well,
could it violate?
You mean that if a person did something, if I did something totally unethical and you removed me, it should not negate the work that the rest of the charter commission has been doing. That's what that savings clause was about.
Yeah, but what about, does it negate the person that violated the ethics? If that person
Well, they would be
didn't
removed.
follow the state, yeah, but then any work that he did or she did.
Well, that person is a single person, they're not the
Right, so you've had to vote the whole,
15.
yeah.
Okay.
I think you're still okay,
I think it's a great idea. I'm not sure that we need it.
but just,
Because the recommendation of the entire commission, charter commission, you know, you've already outlined how you're gonna remove it if that person does what she's gonna do.
And all of the other recommendations for what provisions go forward come from the broader body. So maybe we parking lot that, and then if we find that we need to do something with it later, we can always come back and talk about
Okay,
that.
I thought
Yeah.
I'd suggest
Yeah,
it. Okay, yep.
Table that. That's my suggestion, but I'm one of 15 here. You feel differently? Okay.
Not necessarily differently, but I think it's good that you pointed that out.
Yeah.
It should probably be accounted for in our bylaw at some point, somewhere. I mean, like I said, table it tonight, but we need to find a space for it.
So records and transparency, let's see, maybe it was, you know, if maybe it fits in there, all drafts.
why wouldn't it fit under ethics and conduct?
I would
Maybe
have,
we just put it in there and say all work survives any individual membership.
What'd you say? All what?
Maybe,
Article 9?
under Article 9, just say that all work survives individual members. So the work exists whether the member exists or not. Something to that effect. Well, the attorneys can fix that for us.
Everybody just be good.
We might have been ambitious with our agenda for tonight. All right, so going back to Article 3 then, yeah. Are we good with the rest of the language? We put Section 5 in, which is our ethics, and then Section 6 becomes our removal. Anybody want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, before a motion is made, should we, under the new Section 6 removal, specify violation of Section 5?
Good point.
Yes.
Yes, that's a good point.
I don't think that's an all-inclusive list of violations.
No, it's not.
So just
That's a good point.
I think if we just leave it open as violation of ethic laws, it's still, I mean, we laid out the 4 big ones, and here, but there's still, so that we don't.
Yeah,
But then do we need to say not inclusive of what is written?
I mean, we just leave it with the way it's written right now.
because an ethics law could be close, the open meeting violation. It's not listed in this one. That could be, they could violate that ethics law on the open meetings. So-
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not in the bullet points.
It does. Yeah.
So you can't list probably everything that,
You couldn't, there's no way you could list everything you could potentially do wrong.
Well,
Yeah, we have an ethics attorney, and that's all.
so the third bullet actually does cover open meetings law, conduct deliberations only in posted meetings. That is the open records requirement.
Okay, so are we ready for a motion then, or, okay, is somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 3 membership as discussed and with the changes of adding Section 5 ethics and conduct and making Section 5 removal now Section 6.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the specific language for Article 3 addressing memberships. First subsection is 1 is the composition, which defines the membership makeup. The 2 is the qualifications to be a member. 3 is the terms of service. 4 is the vacancies. We added language in that one to say the appointing authority will be notified immediately of a known vacancy. We added Section 5, which is our ethics, and then we changed the previous Section 5 to Section 6. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded. All in favor? It passes. Hey, Katrina, I got notes here I could share with you afterwards.
You probably will have to. I didn't pick up where we copied some of those ethics.
Okay, yeah, I can help with all that. All right, Article 4 is officers. So there's just a couple of sections here. Anything to discuss on this section?
The only thing.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marilyn. The only thing I added was under the chair. I thought you would be the person who would preside at public meetings or your designee.
So the vice chair acts in the absence of chair. So if I don't preside over those, when you say public meetings.
Where it has serves as primary spokesperson, I said including presiding at public meetings.
Okay.
Under Section 3 duties,
Serves as primary spokesperson. Say that one more time, the language you used.
including presiding at public meetings or the chair's appointed designee. Or however you want to.
Community outreach meetings and things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Because someone has, at a public meeting, community outreach, someone has to preside over that. I just thought that would be the chair.
Could I change public to community?
Sure.
Because I think that lines up
Yeah.
with what we had used
Yeah, community is better, yeah.
in our mission statement. What did we, mission statement? We used something over there. We residents.
yeah, city has a community residents, so change community residents. But that community's good.
Okay. So that'll just be one more bullet point under that chair. Okay, anything else we want to edit there?
I think it all looks good.
Okay, is there a motion?
Before we proceed as outlined and as we have noted.
Okay, so there's been a motion to approve the specific language for Article 4 of the bylaws, which addresses officers. Section 1 is officers, Section 2 is election of officers, Section 3 is duties. We added an additional duty to the chair, which is preside over community meetings. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion been seconded. All in favor? Ron, are you abstaining?
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Just want to make sure. All in favor, motion passes. So we are through Article 4. Article 5 is our meetings. Okay, so there's 5 sections to this. So we got our open meetings. It talks about operating according to the Texas Open Meeting Act. 2 talks about regular meetings. That's the cadence by which we will meet regularly. And we don't have that currently defined, so that might be something we want to discuss. At a minimum, maybe we want to have at least 1 meeting a month. And we could define it as a minimum of 1 meeting a month, and we could have as many as we want. Special meetings, so I think that's pretty straightforward. If we have to have additional meetings to address specific topics or subcommittee meetings and such. Quorums and participation.
Do we have to explicitly state, or is it part of the Open Meetings Act, I can't remember, that we have audio, video, and that this meeting is recorded?
I think as long as we say that we're complying.
Complying with the, okay.
Whatever that requires, we will, at a minimum, we will do that.
Okay. Do we have to say anything about being able to join online?
Again, I would say whatever the Open Meeting Act says
Okay.
and accessibility to meetings says, we will, that's covered there, and we will do that.
So like in section 5 there says, for example, 3 minutes, do we state that that's going to be what we do? Instead of saying, example, 3 minutes, each regular meeting shall include a public comment with a time limit set at 3 minutes?
Yeah, so that's a good discussion topic. So sometimes when I don't know if you've ever been in this room when it's full of people who want to talk, right? Other times you might only have 2 people standing here. And so I think we need to be a bit flexible with how much time I would be reluctant to put a specific amount of time here. But we need to be prepared to, if we got 28 people standing here that all want to talk, then we got to be thoughtful and say, we're going to put a 2-minute or 3-minute limit on your comments.
Could you, sorry, I was just going to say, could you, since I know at the council meeting, it went for over an hour. I don't know if we could afford to have public comments for that extended period of time with the amount of work we have to do. Could we put a time limit for our meeting, not per person, but, half an hour, I think would make sense. Just a different thought.
I'm probably not in favor of limiting the time. I mean, our transparency comment is we want to hear what the community has. If we have, I'm not really looking forward to having an hour-long public hearing or 2 hour, but I do think we need to minimally allow 3 minutes, which is what standard protocol for P&Z City Council is minimally.
Yeah, I always find, whether I agree with what I'm hearing or not, I find it very valuable to know what people think. And so I want to give them the maximum amount of time to share their thoughts, but I also recognize we can't sit here till 1 o'clock in the morning letting people
And that's
ramble
where
on and
time
on.
limits are set by the chair.
Right.
So you can intercede if it needs to be, and so you're not locked into 3 minutes, 5 minutes.
Right.
I think if you just leave it, time limits set by the chair for whatever topic, because depending on one topic, somebody might want to talk 15, 20 minutes if, there's something important to say, or they share, or to contribute.
Yeah.
So, but if you have 30 people out here, you can state it maybe at the beginning, let's set, to 3 to 5 minutes or something.
Okay.
And you can do it at that time. Would we have to approve that? If we just say limit set by the, would we have to?
Yeah, I think we could just scratch that example 3 minutes, just take the ambiguity out of it and just scratch that language.
I think it's important that it's just at the discretion of the chair.
And I have started P&Z meetings when we had public hearings and there was a lot of people who wanted to talk. I encourage them to try to keep your comments to 3 to 5 minutes. And if they went long, then, we can always say, you've got 1 minute to wrap up. Okay, any other discussion on Article 5?
We proceed with number 5 as we discussed, as you have outlined.
Okay, point of just discussion before we get a second. Did not state exactly how many times a minimum we're going to meet per month. Do you want to withdraw your motion so we can discuss that?
I can. I did like the comment of minimum 1 meeting per month, but I will
Okay,
withdraw
I
my
didn't
motion.
capture that as a final
Oh, you
answer.
did not? My
Yeah.
mistake.
So,
I thought you captured
apologize.
that. I thought you captured minimum 1 meeting per month.
At least one time per month. Okay.
And since do have another question, are we allowing anyone to make comments, whether they're a citizen of Hazlet or not?
Yeah.
I agree. And
It was called citizen participation card, but we don't check somebody's citizen stuff. Yeah,
Well, name and address.
yeah.
well, and
Years that I've been on top A board, those presentations starts with their address. Their name and address.
Yeah.
in the last city council meeting, there were 2 letters that were read without addresses, and it was evident that from Sandera Ranch.
So
And-
what if we just change public comment to City of Haslett resident comment?
Yes.
Because they're not allowed to vote on the charter. So it should be only the ones that are allowed to vote on the charter.
All right.
So what'd you say, change to resident?
I changed, so under section 5, public participation, I said each regular meeting shall include citizen of Haslett resident comment period. Or it shall include,
It doesn't have to,
public comment from the,
not to change. Not to change the word. It's actually a really great point. And it's important that it demonstrates we're not being influenced by outside people, by a developer or a group, a neighborhood group, another neighborhood who's mad about something and they want to try to change. So I think it shows our allegiance to our voters' constituency.
The last city council meeting, there was at least 30 minutes devoted to input from outside people. And I do not agree that that should happen in that meeting or in this meeting.
I think part of our charge is that we're not influenced by these groups of people outside. And I think that's very important that it's clear. It's a really great point.
Because the charter is affecting only the citizens of this city, and that's who we're obligated to work for, and who we are obligated to listen to.
I think that's good.
okay, it's good.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to restate my motion
All
then
right.
for Article 5 meetings to incorporate under Section 2 the minimum 1 meeting per month that you have captured, and also the update for Section 5 of public participation to make sure that the timing is at the discretion of the chair and that the comments are from City of Hazlet residents. So I'd like to proceed as you have outlined for Article 5 meetings.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve language for Article 5, which is meetings. Subsection 1 would be open meetings, 2 would be regular meetings, 3 would be special meetings, 4 would be quorum, 5 would be public participation, with the changes to the draft language to be 1 meeting per month in Section 2, and to revise the public comments language to say public comment by citizens of City of Haslett. Okay, is there a second?
Before we move to a second, I would like to propose a name change to section 5.
Okay.
That it
That's a
say
good call.
residents of Haslett participation.
Public participation by City of Haslett residents.
There you go.
Very good.
Good
Rather
call.
than public participation, it clarifies in the name of the section that only citizens of Haslett, the city of Haslett, can participate.
So do we have to
So if we
restate
change,
the,
if we change that in the header, do we need to change that in the first bullet point?
Well, that eliminates the need to change that in that first bullet point.
Yeah. Okay, so, do you want to?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend
You
my
gotta amend your motion.
to incorporate the input by Mr. Joel Bullard, Article 5 in meetings as stated.
Okay, there's been a change to the original motion, so now the motion contains additional language that revises Section 5 to say public participation of City of Haslett residents. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion was made and seconded. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. We're halfway done almost. All right, rules of procedures. This is where we talk about the Robert Rules of Order, how we're going to operate and conduct our meetings, how we will take motions, how we will vote on those motions. And then the last section talks about members may submit written minority opinions. So if you find yourself with a differing opinion than the broader body, you can always write an opinion about that. Okay? Any discussion on these items?
Greg, I make a motion that we adopt Article 6, Rules and Procedure as presented.
Okay. Motion is made to adopt the rules and procedures as written, which is Section 1 is parliamentary authority, 2 is motions, 3 is voting, 4 is minority reports. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead. Are you going to discuss the same thing?
We're probably going to, I'm going to talk about voting. I think for the charter sections, I think a majority vote is not enough. I think it should be at least 2/3 or 3/4.
So I'll draw your attention to where is it in the, I thought there was a section that said that the final document needed to be 3/4, somewhere it has that. 2/3, I'm sorry.
I thought it was 2/3. Thanks, yeah.
10 out of 15, so yeah.
I didn't see that, okay?
That was,
Oh, there we go. That's for the bylaws. I'm talking about the charter. I'm talking about the sections of the charter itself. So if we're doing that for the bylaws, I think for the charter, particularly because I believe if we're expecting the voters to agree with this, we should have a stronger agreement among ourselves.
yeah, so if you leave under voting, the second bullet point says the final charter approval requires a majority of the full membership. So we could, what, do you want that to be 2/3 majority? Do you want it to be simple majority?
I thought 3/4, that would be 11 or 12 of the 15 of us, to say that we agree with the final charter.
If you want 3/4, that could be difficult, because all it would take would be 2 people or 3 people to
And what if
stop
somebody's
everything.
not here?
Excuse me?
What if somebody's not here for the vote?
It's still 2/3 of the quorum.
Right. I mean,
This says full
2/3
membership, so this is, we got to change full membership to the quorum, because we can't be held up because we don't have everybody here. So,
That's just my opinion. I just feel if we're putting something forward, we should all have agreement that we believe it's appropriate for the city. That's just my opinion.
Somebody think 2/3 is too much?
Well, I just think that with the numbers, you can't have a 3/4 of a person vote.
No, you're right.
And so because we have 15, 2/3 is 10 people, that's easy. But when you go to 3/4, now you have to have 12. And so
2/3 of the membership?
2/3 of the
membership, yeah. I mean, because, I'm just thinking, if there's something that somebody doesn't like I said, it only takes 3 people to stop everything. And so I just think that's, I'm hoping we're in agreement more than that, to where everything we've done today has been unanimous. But I still think that
the hard work's ahead of us.
Yeah, I think there's still going to be some points where, we're gonna be here long hours if we want to go 3/4.
And
10 out of 15.
And if you say full membership, that means at some point we can't just have a quorum. We have to have at least 10 people in here that agree.
think when we get to the point of approving the final charter, I would hope that we had people here.
Okay, so we want to change that language under voting to final charter approval requires 2/3 majority of the full membership. Okay. Okay, there's been a recommended revision to the voting. Marty, would you like to amend your motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Mike, sorry.
I will amend my motion to include the change that final charter approval will require 2/3 of the full membership.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Next one goes to committee. So this would be our subcommittees that would be working on things. So and we may have lots of subcommittees as we look at this. So the first one is, what standing committees? Well, there's going to be ones that we know we're going to have. One is going to be the government structure, elections, finance, and citizens' rights and initiatives. Those are going to be in any home charter. But the rest of it is really going to be up to us to decide what content we want in there. But do we want to have standing committees?
Yes.
Okay. Do we want to add to that list or amend that list? And this is where you got to start thinking about the content of the home charter document itself.
Only thing I thought about, and I don't know if this is assumed, if it's allowed, but under committees, could there be something about consulting, like department heads, city council members, the mayor, other cities? Do we have to call out that we would have the authority to do that as a committee?
So under Article 10, it says what the city will provide. They will provide administrative staff, meeting space, legal counsel. They'll provide resources as we need them in order for us to do our work.
But we could consult anyone in the city?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
The department heads of the city. Yeah.
That's what I was
Not just any
asking.
employee,
Yeah, we could even, if we want to add specific comment over there in that what the city will provide, we could say department head, access to department head for consultation.
Because we may have questions.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in the terminology with use of the term standing committee versus the committees that we're obviously going to establish to work on various sections of the charter? We're going to have working committees, and in these standing committees, I don't really understand the terminology there, the use of the word standing versus a working committee where we say, well, we're going to have 4 of us that work on the ethics section. But these standing committees are somewhat structural relative to the actual function of the commission as opposed to committees that develop the charter itself.
Yeah, that's a great question too. As I looked over many examples of the home charter document, and I was thinking about standing committees versus just ad hoc committees, these seem to be the ones that could potentially continually having to revise content based on how other sections develop. And these probably aren't going to be finalized until the very end. That's the way I interpret it. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, because I've never done one of these before. But they just seem to be ones that we will probably need to have in existence through the entirety of our work. Other ones will probably start up and then we'll retire the subcommittee.
And I guess, I don't know if there needs to be any delineation between standing and an ad hoc committee in this section. I don't know that, I think the looser it is and the broader it is, the easier it is for you to do the work we need to do as a commission, as opposed to defining anything. I wouldn't even define anything. I wouldn't even put in such as. I would leave everything out, just say the chairman may establish subcommittees to do the work of the commission, and I would leave it as that. Keep
Okay.
it as simple as possible.
So in light of that, would we just revise the language on that section 1 line to say section 1 committees and take out the word standing?
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I've, like you, never done this before, so I don't know if it requires the word standing or not. I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't think, as long as we don't define a time frame in which a committee exists when we appoint one, I think we're okay. I think, that's the way I would feel
I would
about it.
probably try to keep it as simple as possible.
Would a committee include workshops, or do we have to call out something specific for workshops?
If it's the full body, that wouldn't be a subcommittee.
Okay,
That would be the commission.
so I don't know if we have anything in here about workshops then.
In our
Only where we
meeting
have
section.
outreach, community outreach,
Is that where it is?
workshops.
That would just fall under our meetings. Anytime we do a
Yeah.
workshop, it's going to be governed by our meetings
Okay.
requirements.
I have a question. It states that the chair will appoint the committee. Does it have to be approved, voted on by the whole commission? Or just you can appoint it?
Well, this says the commission will establish.
No, but the commission may establish them, but then it says, section 2, it's appointed by the chair. Do we have to approve that? If you appoint it, then do we approve it? Appointed by the chair, approved by the commission.
Well, so let's discuss it. Do you want to vote on every single member that's part of the subcommittee?
No, I don't. My question is, do we have to,
I don't think you have to.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't envision doing anything different than saying, all right, we have an ethics
Yeah, okay.
subcommittee that we need to form. Who has an interest in being part of this
Right, okay.
ethics subcommittee?
So we don't have to vote
And
on it.
Joel,
Yeah,
if you
okay.
raise your hand, you're member number 1. And then, if we have 3 spots to fill, then we'd look for a couple more hands.
Can we volunteer Maryland when we?
Yeah, I got a few people I'm going to volunteer.
I think we need to have a refreshment committee, and Joed would be good.
In a break committee. All right, so does that answer that question?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we?
Yes.
Commission may establish committees as needed.
Or we would-
Taking out those?
or do we say
I
the
think these are just examples of the types of committees.
We could just say, section 1 committees, the commission may establish committees as determined by the chairman to address the work stated in the mission statement or something like
I
that.
don't even know that we need to go into all that.
Yeah, I mean, just as simple as the line, just as simple as possible.
Committees to serve the commission. Yeah.
I have a quick question, just kind of big picture view of structure. I think, is it accurate to suggest that there's nobody here that's ever served on a charter commission? I certainly haven't. So my question is in structure, so there's gonna be topics outlined, topics that are created by subcommittees, and then those subcommittees come back to the whole and kind of support, this is what we believe would be good positions. But is the whole group gonna seek input, or is the subcommittees gonna seek input from the community within the framework of their topic? What do you envision how we go accomplish that?
In order to move things forward, we have to have subcommittees that are going out there doing that work and reaching into the community, reaching into the city staff, doing the research and bringing those recommendations back. Yeah, all 15 of us can't be doing all things.
I get it. I just want to kind of get a picture.
Yeah.
But there will be discussion of that presentation.
That's correct. And at the end, everybody votes on the totality.
And even though a subcommittee does kind of the research work and creates a recommendation, we have to do our diligence and, understand what they're proposing, and it's going to take some time and effort on our part to be informed before we agree or offer a different viewpoint, right?
Yep, I'm thinking, I know that the document suggests that the city's gonna provide legal staff. The city, at least the last time I knew, they work with Brad Hoffmeister. They represent hundreds of cities in Texas. TML says there's about 350 home rule charters in Texas. And I think the best lessons to learn from are others. And so, the law that does not bond counsel work, but general counsel work, will have a lot of experience saying, what has been your experience between precinct elections versus, open across the whole boundary of the city versus different forms? I mean, there's a lot we can get there that I'm hoping that we'll take advantage of some of those things down the road.
Yeah, and our city doesn't look exactly like all the other cities either, and so.
Majority, you just can't look and say, well, the majority of cities did this, that's right for us. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying, we have some resources to get some good intel that we could use.
And to Stuart's point about nobody sitting here ever being served on a charter commission, will the subcommittee, obviously the Open Meetings Act applies to us and to the subcommittee.
It does.
So how will we, as a subcommittee, once those are formed and we start breaking off into subcommittees, how will we comply with the Open Meetings Act if we're not in this room?
By the numbers, right?
If the subcommittee doesn't constitute a quorum,
Right.
you do so out of the.
Yeah,
You can't have 8 people on a subcommittee.
yeah. You can conduct your business, but you're still subject to, the documentation, all of that has to be transparent. No secret meetings here.
But the subcommittee, when the subcommittees meet, does that have to be published somewhere?
I don't believe the subcommittee.
I didn't think so.
Because it's not a quorum
I
of
just-
the commission.
Right, that's what I wanted to be clear. Right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah, we've
That's what I
used
thought.
subcommittees in.
I was on a subcommittee for planning and zoning, and we met, there was just me and one other person on it, and we worked together, and we reported back to the body as a whole.
Right.
That's the open meeting portion of
But
it.
Right.
it wasn't a committee of the commission doing that. It was less than a quorum that did
Right.
that work.
Right,
Yeah.
that would be the,
So are we at a point where we're ready for a motion on section 7 committees?
so saying that, do we have to, you say at least 3 members, do we have to list a maximum number then?
No, because it could be 5, anything less than a quorum.
Okay, so do we have to state that, or is that just assumed?
It
Okay,
has to,
okay,
Right, if it hits a quorum, then those rules apply. So it can be a subcommittee of 10 if we have to.
but,
Then all those rules apply. Right,
yeah.
yeah.
okay.
Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that under Article 7 committees, we proceed as we have outlined, including under Section 1, removing the word standing and have it listed as committees, and that those committees are determined to serve the commission as we see fit, and then move forward with Section 2 and Section 3 as you outlined.
Okay, there's a motion to recommend approval as we've described, or recommend the language as we've described it for section 7, which is committees. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
Okay, motion been second. All in favor? Motion passes. That brings us to Article 8, I'm sorry, which is community outreach. And we do not, in this outline, have language for that. So we need to flip to, can you give us an eye?
What I had, and we might not need the first one, but I had a public hearing or bullet point. Public hearings, the commission shall conduct public hearings as required by law and encourage citizens input. In fact, if you go past the city of Princeton home rule, it says city of Hazlet home rule charter commission proposed. It's right there. It's under section 5. See that? See that? And that can be.
So is bullet point A already addressed in our meetings, and then maybe bullet point B is,
Thinking that's already addressed.
and then we could just put B as the language for this section, right? Is that what you were thinking? Or the,
We have to say anything about that they're published, broadcast, you know, anywhere where it would be? That it would be published on the city website?
Any other city meeting.
Right.
So you could, yeah, you could put community outreach and then like a couple, you know, maybe 3 bullet points. The, you know, the commission may establish, community outreach through workshop surveys, informational sessions. You could also have a bullet point and state meetings are
Meeting minutes.
Published.
on the city website, or you can tell. You could also put the meetings are published on the city website. You can view it or whatever that might be, you know.
Locations accessible to the public.
Yeah,
I would suggest we use the word may.
May,
We may conduct public meetings.
yeah.
We will publish, minutes of meetings that are held. And meetings may be watched online.
Yeah.
well, they may not be online, depending on,
Sorry?
they may not be online, depending on how we do these things.
They may be.
Survey wouldn't be online.
Right.
Right.
Or if you have like outside of, have a larger public meeting.
May.
You could just put the agenda will be on the city's website.
Public meeting.
So what I was thinking about that would be as we had, say we had certain sections of the charters, several of them, or some major section that we wanted to take to the public in some way, that we would send out a notice that that was going to occur, which would include where it was going to occur, when it was, all that, for the community to attend. And they'd know it was something different than our regular meeting.
Yeah. I don't think you want to state all that.
Well, no.
You just want to like bullet points.
Right.
So the key,
Workshop surveys.
go ahead, Vanessa, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, the commission may establish procedures for outreach, community outreach through workshop surveys and informational sessions, and that leaves it really open.
Yeah, the key word there for me is procedures, because the procedure for a survey is going to be different than a procedure
Yeah,
for having
right.
having a community workshop, and so some of these things we'll post minutes, maybe we won't have minutes to post. So I think the key word there is procedures, because each one's going to look and feel a little different.
Okay.
Okay, so section, I had one, because I thought A was just covered in that other section of meetings. So Article 8 has one bullet point, which currently reads, "The commission may establish procedures for community outreach, including workshops, surveys, and informational sessions." Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we proceed with Article 8, outreach, community outreach, as you just stated, with the one bullet point.
Okay, is there a second? Motion is second, all in favor? And that passed unanimously. All right, that brings us to Article 9, which is records and transparency. Does anybody need a break? We've been going for quite a while. Why don't we take a recess for 5 minutes, and if anybody needs to get up, stretch, or do anything. We're not nearly done, and I want to be respectful.
that is a point of consideration.
I've lived in towns where your city council member has that's your city council member that's supposed to represent those constituents. And sometimes it depends on the size of the town. Demographics.
Oh, yeah. I was in West Texas and I got to do that. Went through those.
I was the growth here. This kind of stuff is trying to think about things are growing and changing. Make sure we at least years.
You know,
Directionally correct.
So this is, we've been here every 17 years.
Well, and so.
When we came, there were 14.
Yes, I was a math teacher for 32 years. That's what I was counting. So numbers, but numbers.
And I was involved.
I know Marcy would always call her. So Marcy, what do you do? Budget stuff.
It's not involved. City on the whether it's a CO or whatever form of that.
They were an anomaly to what was part of our plan. And what probably stirred a lot of people.
All that, we put together to create that
We moved on to Ashmore Farms in 2006.
Yeah, we did.
And I remember all the
Oh my God, it was like, I don't think that's, you know, and we're like, you maybe we do what we want. And our grandkids live in the language now, so it's birth. Yeah, that was a, you know, and 156 has also been a topic of discussion.
Well, Avondale has a road and Blue Mountain Road too. That's an Ashmore Farms. Go back up to Blue Mountain Road. When we moved there was a sign, no trucks. Now there's 18-wheelers.
There is a sign that says no trucks, but they don't enforce it.
The amount of containers behind our house.
And they say, well, they can't enforce it. No, you can enforce it if you make it. You know, but it's like, yeah. So,
Look at Avondale has a road. Look at the changes. Well, Sendero Ranch changed that whole thing.
oh my gosh, and we don't want to.
No.
I'll bring it to you. I always put it all.
Cool. No. Hey, I was 3 What do you do? What do you do?
I saw playing out there the other day, and I was like, I don't
Provided we can land where we're going.
I don't want to play anymore, but I had my brother who played for years. We can't go. And we were doing 3, 4, 6 extras.
That's all right. Things have settled down when you can't.
We stood out maybe. There's the indication, guys, they talk so quick and, you know,
Hopefully you'll do it.
we, you know what, you could lay in the grass, but you got to take out. Hopefully do something.
Well, we had
Send me an email and said I'll
my wife taught section commissioner in Beirut.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and we've been training for them
All right, we are returning from our recess, and we do still have a quorum present. Moving on, we are on Article number 9, which is records and transparency. So we did, in our earlier discussion, we did add a additional bullet point here that said all work survives the individual members. So we could, keep that language in there if we want to do that. I might suggest that if we're going to keep that language in there, it would be more like all work survives individual members if a member resigns or is removed before the commission is dissolved.
All work survives membership.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion on any other sub-bullet points in this proposed or draft language?
Mr. Chairman, I move we proceed with Article number 9, records and transparency as noted, including the additional bullet point of how the work will survive.
Okay, there's a
As you've
motion to approve the language in Article 9 with the addition of the provision that all work survives the individual members. Is there a second?
I'll second that. I'll second it.
Okay, been seconded. Did you go by Ben or Benjamin? Which do you prefer?
I go by Todd, actually.
You go by Todd? Okay, I apologize. I did not know that. All right. For the record, though, does it need to get, can we go by Todd? All right, seconded by Todd. All in favor? The motion passes. Thank you. Article 10, legal and staff support. So this is where we talk about those other areas in which we may draw support from. So that'd be legal, the administrative staff, meeting space, public notice support. We could say department heads or other staff as made available by city council and the mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, in regard to Article 10, I made mention in our first meeting to the mayor about providing laptops or some type of digital device to the members of the charter. I don't know that we got any resolution to that. I know there was some discussion with you about that.
There's laptops and emails that we've discussed, but I don't think a decision has been made on that yet.
Okay. So as far as support goes from the city, I still believe that they should provide us the device to be used with the email that we will be provided.
Yeah, I think if we put that in here, then we're telling city council what they have to do. And I don't think we can tell them what they have to do. I understand your point completely. I just don't know that we have the authority to tell city council that they have to give us
Well, I don't know that it's any authority we need. We were told we would be provided all support necessary.
They have to approve the budget for it, though.
Well, then we need to get that approved.
But that's probably not going to happen because of the expense of 15.
We don't know the expense.
Yeah, because the budget's already been done, so you have to make an amendment to the budget.
In the current budget year, it doesn't until September 30th.
Correct. But even if you're talking 500 for 15 people, that's significant.
Plus the email licenses for those that don't have them.
How much is that?
So that's been provided to the mayor. It's not just the email license, it's all the security services that are associated that go along with it. So he's been provided the cost of adding an email for each individual user along with all the security services, mail filtering and everything.
Can you disclose that amount?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
If I did, no, so because it was temporary, I think I spoke to the mayor and we worked a lower cost down just on a temporary basis.
Does that mean we're not going to have city emails? City email addresses like other boards and commissions? I mean, other boards and commissions have city email addresses, not necessarily laptops. but they do have an email address.
You said $60 a month, Katrina?
Yeah.
That's $900 a month for 15 of us.
That's for email. That's
Just-
not for the
Just for
laptop.
the email.
Yeah.
So if there's not a budget for a computer, is there a budget for our email licenses?
I think we just need to defer to the city staff and get some clarification.
Yeah,
with
well-
What they're gonna be able to provide or not.
So Joel, I think we do need to consult what they can and can't do, but I understand, because our work could be subject to requests of information. Yeah, this is very easily that, Planning and Zoning Commission, probably not. I don't worry about it too much. I've always done everything on, I might just, but, I have a company-provided tablet that I got back in 2013 that still works. And maybe it doesn't look so good, but it still works. I understand your point. And so if somebody's going to want to see my, the records I kept, I wouldn't want to have to divulge my personal email account in order for them to get what they wanted to out of the communication between the commission. So if you want to put on here, the city shall provide email addresses for the commission members, make the recommendation. I wouldn't object to that at all.
I actually have a question for Katrina, related to email. So if there was an open records request for email, is that the obligation of the person who received the email to provide that? Or does someone in the city go through email? I'm sorry? That would be that person's obligation. Right. So I wouldn't turn over my email to Katrina for her to go through that and look for any email that was related to that open record request. I would be obligated to disclose that to her.
There's an easy solution that doesn't cost the city any money, is everybody, you can have unlimited number of Gmail accounts or Yahoo accounts, whatever account server you want to run, and you could make it with your last name and Home Rule Commission, so that only that's the only thing we use, and that's, that doesn't cost the city.
Yeah, then it doesn't get into your personal.
There's all kinds of alternatives other than directing the city that they have to do something.
But you also have to be careful about violating the quorum rule,
Right.
open
You
records.
can create a
Email.
Yeah, so you have to be really careful about that.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question then is, are we required to have a city email?
You're not required to.
Okay. Well, one less email for me is fine.
You are definitely not required to have a city email.
So does that mean we have to provide our public email or our personal email to the public for?
You have to provide the documentation they request.
But say somebody wants to email one of us or all of us.
When you checked your information, you did a public release of what information you would make available.
Correct.
Your home address, your phone number, your email. So if you put no on all of those, then they will not release that.
Well, then how would somebody
That
email
form.
us?
Just check all no's. And then if a public information request is submitted to the city and they wanted to, all email communication between the city staff and the commission members, then the first thing would be, what did they send us? And then the next thing would say, what did you send somebody else? And they would just tell us to
Well,
submit
I'm just
emails
basing
we
this
sent.
off of what the mayor told us, that we would be given city emails. So, I mean, if that's going to happen, then they need to provide us the device to put that email on.
Yeah, I mean, we could, I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. We could say.
We can always
that
make an amendment to it if
Yeah.
it changes.
The city,
We can make an amendment to the bylaws.
Yeah, that's true.
and you could put another bullet point here, or another section that says the city shall provide and the city may provide. The city may provide electronic devices for use during the commission's work. They may provide city email addresses. That might be under a may section.
security measures you will have to go through that if you are on using any city resource, whether it be a computer owned by the city or whether it be a computer or an email address, there are security measures and security training that you will be required by the state to go through and be logged as completing that security training. So just informing you of that as well.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just because I don't know, and don't know that anybody sitting here knows, when the mayor said we're gonna be giving a city email address, okay, I mean, that's fine, but if that's the case, then I want a device for that email address to go to.
By show of hands, who would prefer to have a city email address versus just using the address that you use for your normal communication?
Well, is it communication for residents to email us, or is it just for us?
It's for the city staff to communicate to us, meeting agendas and things like that.
Well, they already have that.
Or to communicate within our
Or
subcommittees.
or to communicate within your subcommittees.
Or for the public to email us.
No, the public should email the city secretary.
City secretary.
Put your email out.
Email us, and if that's the
No.
case, then I don't want it. I mean,
No,
I feel like
yeah,
it'd be
no.
less hassle to just keep as it is, like how Katrina already emails us, hey, there's a meeting, versus doing.
But that can
I've
still
been,
be.
I've been chair of the P and Z for over 20 years. I've had my city email address for probably 15 or probably almost probably 15 of those. I hadn't looked at this thing in 8 years. I for tonight's meeting, I got it out, dusted it off, put jumper cables on it, got it to start. And I got my email into my email for the first time in at least 8 years. I just don't use it, but I'm going to for this.
I sent you an email.
To my city.
Never heard back.
To my Haslett one. There you go.
I couldn't find your Haslett one.
Yeah.
Well, it's the P
But-
and Z one, yeah.
So.
But if you want it, then I would say let's ask the city to get it. If you don't, I don't want to burden you with something you don't want.
Right, well.
So
I mean-
how about we say may provide, and then if you really want it, we go petition the city to go get it.
Well, I don't know, I don't want it, but we were told that we were getting it.
Yeah.
All right,
I haven't used, I'm on P and Z for 5 years, and I never did.
all right, if you don't want it, then what are we solving?
Well, so Katrina emails everybody sitting here with the agenda and the notice of the meetings. That can be pulled or requested in a request for information.
Could be.
So all of our personal email addresses could be pulled.
But I think it's what you would say.
But they have to,
But it's just the email that was sent by Katrina.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
don't have to like give them our login. We
for
just
that
say, this
specific
is what
topic.
Yeah, they have to,
Katrina
yeah.
sent me, This is what Katrina sent me, this is what, and print it.
You don't,
It's provided to you, correct?
You say not everybody.
And whatever you do, don't hit reply all.
Oh, yeah, because
All
then
right.
you're in violation.
That's right,
of the
that's really
Do not hit
important.
reply all.
All right, are we good with just staying silent on that? And then, okay. All right, that's an interesting conversation. All right, because, I mean, it really is an interesting conversation because you think about, okay, well, do I really have to like sort through all of my email if there's a public information request rather than just turning over everything that's on my city one? That's easy, right? But if you got to sort through all your Amazon orders and all your spam mail to figure out which ones actually pertain to all of this, that's a lot of work, right?
Well, I have a
Create a
separate
folder.
folder. I have a folder set up on my email, and I just throw in everything there. It says the Haslett Commission, Charter Commission.
But if you're using city email, we can pull that without you even.
right.
Yeah. I don't have to do anything.
Run a search on that anytime, you don't have to do anything to get it to us. It's something we can do in the back end.
Okay. All right, so we added one bullet point here, which was department heads or other staff provided by the mayor or city staff, or city council.
Okay.
Yep. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move Article number 10, legal and staff support. We proceed as with the additional bullet point that you have added as you have outlined.
Okay. A motion has been made for the adoption of language for Article 10, which is legal and staff support by Marty with the additional bullet point that we added. Is there a second?
I second. Sorry.
Motion been second by Stephanie. I think I heard your voice first. Take a vote. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Timeline. Here we go. The phases by which our work will come about. Yeah,
Is there any reason it can't go as it stands at this point?
So we don't have to put days or months on that, right?
Nope. I mean, we know we're going to do research. We know we're going to get public input. We know we're going to have to draft the final language. We're going to have to review that and revise it. And then we're going to, at some point, we're going to come with the final product.
Right, I think you got it covered.
Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we proceed with timeline as outlined.
Oh.
Is there a discussion topic?
Second.
Is there a second?
She said he had to repeat it. I second it.
All right, here we go. So there was a motion to approve Article 11 language for timeline as written. It was seconded by Stephanie. All right, all in favor? All right. Everybody's getting eager here now. Amendment of the bylaws. So this Article 12 talks about the manner by which we would make an amendment to the bylaws. Currently that reads that would have to have a two-thirds vote of the members present, which is 10 out of the 15. If everybody was here, it'd be 10 of the 15, or whatever number is here, it would be two-thirds vote of those. And we can't create conflict by changing something or making an amendment to our bylaws. Anything else we want to do with that? Or?
Question. If a vote is rejected, the question came up at the first meeting, how long do we have to wait until we revisit that? Does that fall under, oh, I'm sorry, disregard. I'm jumping ahead to charter.
This is just for the bylaws.
So you're talking about a public vote on the final document?
Yes, if it's declined, when do we revisit and amend?
Yeah.
I think a new commission would be appointed.
Yeah.
Because our work is done once we submit it for a vote.
Yeah, once we submit our product to the city council, you see here, Article 13 is a dissolution of our commission. So we are dissolved when we submit our proposal to the city council.
Is that statutory?
Completion of duties is defined by law.
But I mean, the law says that.
Yeah, we don't survive. You know, this body doesn't survive. Once our product is submitted, we're dissolved.
That's like the state law that we have.
Yeah, that falls under that very first thing that we talked about. Goes all the way back to Article 1, which is 9.001 to -9.004, and then Article 2, Section 5. It's all contained in there.
Okay.
So any changes to the amendment section?
No, sir.
Mr. Chair, should we stay consistent with two-thirds vote of the commission?
Personally, I think those present, because, you know, it's an amendment. It's not the final product. It's an amendment to our bylaws. So, yeah, we can't hold up. If it's really important to get done, we can't be held up by lack of attendance. Still 10 people. If we have everybody here. That's my opinion. Again, that's my opinion. It's not the final opinion. So if passionately it needs to be something different, let's talk about that.
Marty?
Mr. Chairman, I move Article number 12, Amendment of Bylaws. We proceed as listed and as you have just discussed with the commission at this point, sir.
Okay, Marty's made a motion to recommend we have the adoption of Article 8, Amendment of the Bylaws, as it was outlined in the draft. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Article 11.
Or, I'm sorry, Thank you.
No, it's 12.
No, it's 12. It's 12.
You said 8.
Did I say 8? I'm sorry, Article 12. Thank you. Marty made a motion to recommend approved language for Article 12. Thank you, I did say 8, which is the amendment of our bylaws as written in the draft. Is there a second? Motion been seconded by Stephanie. All in favor? Motion passes. And then the last article that we have in our draft is Article 13. Any discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman, is Article 13 even necessary since state law, as you so eloquently noted from Article 1, says that once we present this to the city, we're dissolved anyway.
So Section 2 says the authority, and then in that Article 1, Section 2, it talks about how we're established. It doesn't, there's nothing there that talks about how we're dissolved.
We said local government
We could go back to Section 2 and amend it now that we have approved it. And the commission is established and dissolved pursuant to Texas Local Government Code.
I would just keep it as it's written. It doesn't hurt anything, and it's clear and separate. It's neat.
Okay.
It's a conclusion.
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we proceed with Article number 13, dissolution as stated and discussed as you have outlined, sir.
All right, there's a motion to adopt the language for Article 13, which is the dissolution of our commission. As it's written, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been seconded. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. We have bylaws. Now, our agenda is still pretty full. So, let's see. The next item on our agenda is to review and discuss proposed content for the framework of a home rule charter. And we can go through this with the mindset that we can discuss the key attributes that we want to make sure that we have in place in our framework, and talk and then identify those key ones. Okay, maybe it's only 4 or 5 that we identified tonight. Doesn't mean this could be on the agenda every single meeting, and we can identify those big meaty ones that we know we need to get to work on. And then we could talk about appointing subcommittees for just those big ones that we need to get started on. So there's a couple of approaches that we can use for this. I think it's probably too much to try to tackle the framework of the entire home rule charter document tonight. But I think we can definitely get to some key priorities. Anybody have a different idea or approach that they'd like to propose?
Mr. Chairman, would it behoove us, in the interest of time, to table item 6B, 6C, 6D, 6E, 6F, 6G, 6H, next meeting? We got to get through 6?
D.
All of 6? Trina?
6C.
Yeah.
Table 6C.
Yeah.
So let me revise my proposition. In the interest of time, I recommend that we table 6B, C, D, E, F, and G, and then cover 6H.
We already did.
D.
Yeah, we gotta agree on future meeting dates.
Okay.
Yeah, B and C you could.
And E
All right.
and F.
So,
G.
all right. Does anybody feel like we need to identify any subcommittee that needs to get to work right away?
think we can do, sorry. I don't think we can do that until we talk about the framework.
Well, yeah, we can have a general discussion about the framework and identify,
Yeah.
you know, like, there are big things that that are gonna take a long time to, like, the form of government.
Right.
Wow, that's gonna take a long time. The city council, you know, those ones, those are big meaty topics that are gonna take a long time to go out and do the research and come back with. Maybe that's one that we wanna talk about, maybe not, okay? But it might be something we wanna get a group of people working on right away.
Right. I agree.
Another one is elections, finance. You know, some of these, we could appoint subcommittees and they could start going out and doing work now. And we don't have to tackle this entire home charter document tonight. I think there's probably 2 or 3 that I would think that we would want to get to work right away.
Yeah, I think maybe I think the chair could choose about 3 subcommittees that people could get started on and bring back, without having to go into detail on all of this.
Okay? So there was another document in here for the framework for charters. So if you flip to your tab, charters, there's a very similar outline of different articles that might have in a home charter document. And again, not suggesting that this is what's going to be there, but this was just an example. But if I were to prioritize looking at the effort that it's going to take, the form of government would be one I would think we would want to get a subcommittee working on right away.
I think you need that really quickly.
Yeah.
That's what that first one.
Yeah.
That forms a lot of decision making.
Yeah, that one, another one, sorry. Hold on a second. Hold on. That one and elections are probably the 2, and maybe the finance section would be the 3rd one. That the financial procedures would be the 3rd one that I would think that we should, is going to take a lot of work but priority-wise, form of government, 2 elections, 3 financial procedures would be my top 3 if we're going to put somebody to work on something right now.
Elections over city council, you think that sounds more prioritize?
Yeah, because the city council, it talks a lot about, the term, how, the makeup, how many council members are going to be, but, there's the elections procedures, what type of election format are we going to use for the city? There's a lot to consider with something like that. Yeah, term limit discussions and things like that, it's a largely matter of opinion.
How you will counsel is you got, like, I'm sure the city attorney represents a variety of home rule cities with different elections, just get their thoughts. What they look like 2 years after their adoption. Because all of them have some benefits and they have drawbacks.
And I think in general, one of the biggest topics we're going to tackle is how we address structuring the city council, whether we do districts or not do districts. It's a simple concept, but it's actually very complex because it can be discriminatory. And then you get into population centers and how many people are represented by each district and whether we remain all at large. It's a very complex topic. But I don't think we're going to, once we decide which direction and we argue that out, the terminology is going to be very easy because we're just going to adopt it from what's already written everywhere else.
Probably correct.
So you may be correct. It may not be that much. I think we're just going to spend a lot of time debating that as a body. I don't know that we really need to work on it. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right about certainly the form of government is going to be really a lot of work to detail. So we definitely need to get busy on that.
Okay.
Expressing a preference in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I would defer to what you think is best to get the work done.
Yeah.
But-
Well, unless there's objection, I think that those should be our top 3 priorities. We can, and then we can discuss the others. We can move this on to our next agenda as well to assign additional subcommittees. And look at the content, more holistically and, make sure we got the right framework for the whole charter document. Anybody disagree with that? Okay. All right. So this item was to discuss and consider to discuss and consider proposed content for the framework. So I don't even know that we're ready to make a motion for content tonight, are we? Yeah, so I think why don't we continue this agenda item to our next meeting? Okay, and
We need to make a motion on 6B to continue it.
and yeah,
No,
6C?
6B.
Oh,
That's the bylaws.
that's the bylaws, we did that.
Okay, there's no action on 6C. All right.
Yep, so we're going to continue 6C. Now, we're going to cover a couple more things, and then we're going to go back to these 3 subcommittees that we're going to want to find volunteers for. Okay? So discuss, consider, and act to establish meeting dates. So we're moving on to agenda item 6D, which is to establish dates for the next Charter Commission meeting. So do we know what the availability of this room is now?
Yes, I think you guys wanted the 4th Wednesday. Originally, I'll talk about that, and it is available.
The 4th Wednesday.
Which is March 25th.
That would be good, but that would mean we'd have another one this month.
Okay. I know I am not available that day, so, and that's okay. I just know I'm not available that day.
Are you out that whole week?
No, I was presented a Scout Award, and I got to go get interviewed, and I got to go get my bio and a bunch of other stuff. So anyways, it's not, I'm not going fishing with my kid.
I think the next topics are very important for you to be managing. And, because we're talking about the language and content, the framework of the charter. So I think it's very important that you're there for that.
Is the first Wednesday of the month available?
Be April 1.
Yeah, it's just April Fool's.
Yeah.
The first Wednesday, yes, should be available. The second
Okay.
Wednesday is not, and the third is not.
Why don't we,
That's Easter week, is that an issue for anybody, or no? Okay.
why don't we, for the purposes of getting our next meeting on the calendar, why don't we just propose the next meeting and not try to establish a routine calendar yet?
Okay.
Is that okay? All right, is there a motion to have our next meeting be held April 1st, 2026?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to hold the next meeting April 1st,
Okay, there's a motion
2026.
to hold our next regular meeting on April 1st, 2026. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, quick question, will it be our regular 7 PM?
7 PM.
Okay.
I second.
Motion been seconded, all in favor? Okay, that's our next meeting. So we already discussed as part of our discussion during the bylaws about the purpose of a subcommittee. Does anybody have any other questions on what the role of a subcommittee is?
Can I go back one other?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about dates, is it possible to set the next date also, which is the 4th? We leave on the 27th out of the country. So I just want to be here. Is it possible to set that next date also?
And
Which is the 22nd
22nd
of April.
of April. So we would have 2 meetings in the month of April. I need to look at my work calendar, hold on, and see what it is. I believe currently I'm in town no, I'm in Mexico. I'm presenting at a conference in Mexico that week, sorry. My COO is standing at my side, so I better not. But again, we'll be 2 meetings in, I think that's probably okay. Because then we're really on to subcommittee. We got the framework figured out for the charter document. Marilyn, would you be okay at that point? April, if we went, is April 22nd?
Yes, because we'll have the framework, mostly it's going to be subcommittees coming back with their information.
Okay.
So we should have more subcommittees selected, and they'll be coming back with more information, so yeah.
Okay, then if that's the date that works for the majority of the people, then let's go with that date. That's Earth Day. Oh, geez, we can't do that. Fool's Day and Earth Day? It's the same thing, isn't it? All right, April, so is there a motion for, or are we amending that motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we also have a meeting, as we've discussed, on Wednesday, April 22, at 7 p.m. local time for the next follow-up meeting, after the meeting we have on 1 April.
All right, and I apologize. Did we first and second the first date or not? Just you amended your motion to include the second date, right?
Yes, so that'll work. Let's do that.
Yeah, all right. So there's a motion to have our next meeting on April 1st at 7 p.m. 2026, and then a second meeting on April 22nd at 7 p.m. 2026. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion been seconded. All in favor? Okay. Next is appointment of. So we talked about subcommittee. Next is then discuss the subcommittee priorities, which we just outlined 3 key priorities for the home charter document. Now we can act to discuss and identify individuals for assignment to those subcommittees.
Those are which ones?
So the 3 were form of government, elections, and financial procedures. So I think, it's always best to put people where they want to work, and so does anybody really feel passionate about, working on the section around form of government?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not here for that.
Okay, we got. Oh, and did you raise?
Well, I don't want to do finance.
You'll do form of government, Chuck? All right. So is there a motion to appoint Chuck, Joel, and Kyle to a subcommittee to work on the article addressing form of government?
I'll make a motion to appoint Chuck Tackett, Joel Bullard, and Kyle Clark to the subcommittee on Article 2, form of government.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been second, all in favor? Okay, that is your body of work, gentlemen. Thank you very much. All right, then we have the section on elections. Does anybody really get excited about elections and they want to work on that one? Okay. Todd?
I'll do that one as well.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion for recommended appointments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. We appoint Joette Keene, Marilyn Broyles, and Benjamin Drury to the election subcommittee.
Okay, there's been a motion made to appoint the 3 members to the subcommittee for elections. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. And then our last one is financial procedures. So who's our numbers people? All right. Mike? Okay, I got Stuart, Mike, and anybody else that really good with numbers?
I am, but I'm already out of this.
Nobody?
It's and budgeting.
I'll do it. All right. Case, thank you. All right, there's 3 individuals who have raised their hand to be part of the financial subcommittee. Is there a motion to appoint? We got Matt, Mike, and Stuart.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Mike Rhodes, Stuart Charlie, and who's third? Oh, Matt Hayes, to the subcommittee for finance.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Hey, all in favor? All right, enjoy that section of work, and thank you very much for volunteering to do that.
Mr. Chairman, so now that we have these subcommittees, are we expected to bring something back at the next meeting?
Not necessarily, you might not, it might take months to get some of this stuff done. Okay, but we do need to discuss meeting schedules for the subcommittees.
Okay.
So, can we agree that the subcommittee will meet at least once before our next regular meeting? Anybody feel like that's not possible? Okay. And I don't think we need a motion for that. You guys can work independent, work together on that. And then, frame up, all of the resources you need to tap into, all of the documents you want to review, who, the consultants that may be from the city staff or the city attorney. Start framing up how you're going to gather your information and how you're going to come to conclusions. That's going to be, the key part. How do you know you have everything you need to have before you start arriving at conclusions? Okay? So you got to know where you're headed, and you got to know where you're going to get things from, and you got to know, what good looks like when you get there.
So question, if there's someone else on this commission, as long as we wouldn't exceed a quorum, like I know Mike has done things with elections, for example, could he be a resource to our subcommittee?
Yes, but you would need to coordinate that through myself or Marilyn in my absence, because we need to make sure that we're not violating quorum.
Okay.
And if you tapped in and somebody else tapped into somebody else and somebody else tapped, next thing you know, you violated quorum.
Okay.
So we gotta make sure that we're verifying who's all working and being tapped into on a subcommittee.
Okay.
Okay. And it's concurrent work. If you need Mike for one conversation, fine, he's out and he's not part of a permanent member of the subcommittee, fine.
Right, okay.
All right, any more discussion on meeting schedules for subcommittees? Okay, so future agenda items, we will continue the discussion on reviewing the framework for the Home Rule Charter. We will get readouts from our subcommittees on any work that they've progressed up to that point. We'll talk about, again, continuing future agenda items and then meeting schedules. We'll have a public comment period, as with all meetings. Anything else anybody would like to have on that agenda? And I may add more content before it gets published, but anything else?
I don't know if I heard you say it, but are we going to go over the bylaws as complete documents?
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. We will review the final draft. There's no discussion or act because we've adopted it, but we can review the final draft of the charter documents. Yeah.
Do they have to be reviewed by the attorney?
They may have to be. I'm not sure about that. We'll pass the city staff will pass that to the attorney, or if that's required. I'll verify that. Okay.
Can we just ask, Mr. Chairman, can we just ask that it be reviewed before being brought back at this meeting?
Yeah. If he has to review it, then I will make sure that is done. If they say that we're not going to spend the money because it doesn't need to be done, there's not much. I can't force them to do it. Yeah. All right. Anything else that anybody feels we need to have on our future agenda?
I do have a question. If for some reason we cannot attend a meeting, do you want us to notify you?
It would be good if you would send me as well as Katrina a message to let us both know. Katrina always tries to monitor absences because we trying to make sure we got a quorum here. So if you know you're not going to be here, please let her know.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Would it be appropriate to have a phone and email roster amongst the committee just for our use?
We got to be careful,
Right.
because you start communicating too much outside of this room, then it becomes a problem.
As far as like your
This-
number, and Marilyn's number?
Yes, we can do that. And, you know, the subcommittees, you can exchange information as well.
Right.
Right? But we just need to be careful we don't create too many forms of communication, and that we, you know, maintain, you know, the proper communication channels. All right, well, if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn our meeting. We are adjourned at, what time is it? 9:39 p.m.
Got a lot done.